There it is. Finally. That took a second there. It was just swirling. It wasn't going live. I was attempting to go live, but it was not. I reconnected the thing to Facebook. I guess StreamYard finally figured their stuff out. So I don't know. I haven't used that in a while. I don't know. I'm sure no one's going to see it. I haven't been on that page in forever, but you know, a little fun. A little fun having that. That's where it all started. Was the Facebook page, facebook.com/the Savage Crew. Oh, the fun we had over there. I just want to. There it is. The audio is good. Let me turn that off. Yeah, that's where I started. That's where I started doing the live streams. Was over there. I would do. I did it as like a little morning show back when I was working in the news industry. I'd get up early before I went into work, and I would just do a 10-minute little mini show over there. And now here we are, Friday nights, the big time, all lit up. Of course, I just checked the audio. Looks like we're good. Reminder, if you're checking it out, if you enjoy it, if you're watching or listening regularly, please share with people. Screenshot it, put it up on Instagram in your stories. Let people know where they can come have a good time on a Friday night. At Mike's Golden Streams on YouTube, or just search for Sacktap Live. Twitter at Mike Montone, and Instagram at Gary_Moyler, Moyler. What's going on? Next couple weeks. Next week off, I'm going to be taking a little mini vacay, and then the week after that will be a pre-record. This is going to be the last live show that I do, I think, in front of this backdrop, because I'll be packing this apartment up and moving it upstairs into the big house on July 1st. So that'll be nice. A little more space. I'm not sure what I'm going to do. Might get myself like a green screen or something like that. There's a lot of things being kicked around in the old noggin. So I'll see after I get, unpacked and set up what the new spot will be. Maybe I'll do it in different spots from time to time. Who knows? I'm gonna have a lot more space to fuck around with. So it'll be nice. But that will require a little bit of time and effort. So it's gonna cut into my live streaming schedule. Anyway, I was watching on Hulu. There's a Brat Pack documentary, and it's the first thing I really noticed was just seeing how I got about halfway through it, and seeing how like Estevez and McCarthy and those guys had aged, because they are so burned into my brain. A lot of them haven't had huge acting careers. Especially not recently, so you don't think about what they look like. But I was just trying to think what the fuck else Judd Nelson did after all that stuff. But I always think of them as they were in the 80s, and then you see what the ravages of time have done, and it was weird. There was almost like this chilling element to it, like that. Those people that you thought of, I thought of them as like perpetual youth. Like it's like seeing the Beach Boys get old, I guess. Anyone, like, it'll be like seeing the Situation as like a 70-year-old man or whatever, because these guys, they're all in their 20s back in the 1980s. So I guess that means you got to be, I can't really do math on the fly. But, if you were 22 in 1985, what's that? You turned 37 at the millennium, and then it's been 23 years. So that's, so yes, they're up there in their 60s, I guess. They're getting up there, a little long in the tooth. It's weird seeing people that you saw as teen movie stars hitting that age, but I loved those fucking movies. I still do. Obviously they use the song Man in Motion, John Parr, which is one of the great 80s ballads of all time. And there was something about, I grew up in the kind of town that a lot of those movies took place in. Like if you know, it was that kind of uh just what you envisioned as the American dream. Like if you think of the town that like Ferris Bueller was in. I forget where it was in Illinois that they used. It was like a couple of different locations. I think it's like the same town that the Home Alone house was in. Um but it always very much reminded me of the town that I grew up in. And I remember watching those movies when I was in like elementary school and middle school, and seeing like the party in 16 Candles when they get Long Duck Dong gets fucking wasted, and the meatheads are like stacking cans, and one of the nerds knocks it over and they're gonna fuck him up. I remember that sort of setting my expectation for what high school would be like. And I was not disappointed. Honestly, he did a great job of capturing the sort of American experience, except for the whole thing where there's like I was in such a small town. Everyone had pretty much the same income level, so there wasn't like this. There was never a group of people who were thought of as the preppies. Just the entire fucking town was preppy. It wasn't that was something that did not really ring true, but I absolutely loved those fucking movies. And they paved the way for those movies in combination with sort of the raunchier ones like Animal House and Porky's. I feel like they kind of met in the 90s and the early 2000s with the more modern take on the teen movie genre, which I think is some of the greatest movies of all time. Um, the American Pies, 10 Things I Hate About You, She's All That, just some incredible movies. A lot of very, very funny moments. Not Another Teen Movie is an awesome teen movie. Like it's a fucking hilarious teen movie. Shout out to teen movies, one of the great film genres out there. I know there are all these assholes who spend their time like talking about like Marvel movies and whatever Thor and all this bullshit, but give me a good high school or college uh, rite de passage filled with like hijinks and people throwing toilet paper at shit, and like it's some ethnically inappropriate humor, and a little dose of misogyny, in good times. Some guys making a bet about getting laid before the end of the year, or whatever, or having to transform some fucking ugly duckling into the prom queen. Like that's a movie. I don't need this fucking nonsense about what goes on in those bullshit superhero movies. You saved the world again, did you? How many times? How many fucking times? Is the world really in that much peril? I don't think so. Teen teen movies and gangster movies are the greatest movies. Howdy to the boys in the comments section. Uh Eurotrip. Eurotrip. Absolutely. Incredible. Incredible movies. Um I do not I don't I've actually never seen the Thor movies, but I was a big Noah Syndergaard fan when he was with the New York Mets, so I'm reasonably familiar um with the content. Um Yeah, A7. I don't even know what the fuck A7 is. I'm going to be totally honest. I hear people talking about that all the time. I don't know I don't know what I don't know what any of these people make references to like production companies, and they know who producers and directors are. I don't know about any of that shit. Um Anyway, I lost my train of thought there. I have to admit I'm a little I'm a little high. Fucking I went when I got my newest vape pen, all they had were concentrates. So this shit hits fucking hard. Good times. Um Teddy Two Guns, oorah. Someone asked a question and I wanted to comment on it. I forget what it was though. Anyway. Anyway. How do I clear this? Montone loves Thor. Get out of here. Get out of here. It is the here we go. Allow me to reset. Allow me to reset like a professional. It is the height of tourist season in New York City. And there is a possibility that I will die one day because I accidentally got knocked off of a fucking curb and hit by a bus because of one of these dumbasses. It is really in an age of smartphones, I don't think you need to travel in packs of fucking 25 anymore. Like you don't it's no longer fucking necessary. And these fucking rubes Anderson Cooper. So I was outside of work and Anderson Cooper was walking down the street and he passed the group and one of the fucking dorks shouted that she just saw Anderson Cooper. And it's like whoop-de fucking do. All right? You saw Anderson Cooper. We live in 2024. Everyone is accessible. You have a look in. She's probably seen video at some point from inside of Anderson Cooper's apartment. It's not It's not exciting to walk past Anderson Cooper on the street. But and there were like fucking 36 of them walking like just a big long human centipede, a centipede down 48th Street, and it's all over fucking Midtown. And there's this thing that people who are very into the idea of being New Yorkers will say like that's a real New Yorker never goes through Times Square, except sometimes you kind of legitimately have to go through Times Square because Times Square has just grown to the point where it's spread out now. Times Square now takes up fucking from like Grand Central Station all the way to the fucking Port Authority and up to Central Park. So it's not like it's just a clusterfuck out on the streets. And homelessness is up. I was just watching the local news here, and they said there are more people on the streets of New York City than there have been in years. And a lot of these guys, these vagrants, there will be like pools of fucking tourists standing on the at the corner waiting to cross the street, and there will be a vagrant weaving in and out amongst them, and these fucking assholes walk so slowly. Like when you see one of these guys on the sidewalk, you need to get the fuck away from them very quickly because they will try to get as close to you as possible. Like the name of the game is putting distance between yourself and these fucking dirty, disease-ridden, dangerous, desperate street people. And as awful and as inhuman as that sounds, unless you're going into this fucking jungle every day, you don't really understand what it is. Like it's at the point now where I'm seeing more than a dozen of them en route to my place of employment, and the same thing on the way back. So these fucking morons from wherever they come from, Peoria or fucking Germany or wherever, it is always I feel like the bulk of them are from Middle America, and Germany, Austria, that condescending Europe, as I like to, that sort of, they're here to visit, but they're also here to look down their noses at us, as if we didn't kick their fucking asses in 2 world wars. But these people, they move around so stupidly that they will accidentally knock you into oncoming traffic. Like they're just completely unaware of how to handle themselves and how to navigate the streets of New York City. And it's quite irritating. It happens around now. You get a little bit around spring break. It really peaks in the summer, then it dies down a bit, and then between Thanksgiving and New Year's, it goes through the fucking roof. So pray for me, please, please, pray for me. Johnny Gibbons, be right back. Soup, where the fuck are you? That soup is a good idea right now. It is not a good day for soup. It is hot in the New York City area. It is hot as fuck. It was tank top weather today. I was walking around. My pits were fucking stinking. Um, but yeah, the other thing that's aggressively been on the rise are these fucking scooters, which I've been bitching about. I have been bitching about scooters in this area forever. Finally, the NYPD is getting into it. Because if you go on local Reddit pages around here, it's just people arguing over scooters because there's this there are right-minded individuals like myself who understand that having people zipping around on unlicensed motorcycles that they're mostly driving on the fucking sidewalk and then cutting into and out of fucking traffic is just not a good idea because it's not the smartest people who are using these things. It's fucking idiots who are using these things. Like picture, you know who uses these things? The guy on social media who you met at like a barbecue or something like that, who's always trying to promote his like drop shipping fucking website. Those kind of guys. That's like the most successful version of the guys who use these. It's mostly like Uber Eats drivers and shit. Um, and they're an absolute menace. And this is a dense urban area. There are a lot of people on the sidewalks, and these fucking idiots will be zipping in and out of them like they're like mothers pushing strollers, and these guys will like hop the fucking curb right in front of them. They drive around like just complete fucking pieces of shit. They're worse than bicyclists. Like bicyclists are bad. Bicyclists, comport themselves like complete fucking douchebags, but these guys are worse because this thing appeals to the laziest of the lazy. I bet there is a big crossover between people who ride these stupid e-bikes and shit and people who get excited about like new flavors of Cheetos and Monster Energy drink. I have to believe that there's a big crossover there. The people who you watch videos on the phone on the bus with no headphones in and the volume up and laugh uproariously and throw around the N-word even though they're not black. A big population of these guys riding these e-bikes and scooters. And also a lot of very popular, the little scooters I've noticed are very, very popular amongst like tech bros, like fucking dorky ass dudes who work in fucking tech. I feel like are because I think they're a little too nervous, and frail to get on the fucking the bike version, so they ride these fruity ass like fucking electric scooters that they could just fucking stand on. It's yeah, they've the streets now are like if you ever look at footage from third world countries that especially the ones in like the southern hemisphere where it's really hot all the time and people zip around on these things, that's what it's starting to turn into. Anyway, the NYPD is finally starting to go after these things. because apparently a lot of them, they're being used in crimes now. It's not only are they just fucking, they're, I think one of the most irritating things about these scooters to me is that they are so indicative of the lazying of society, because they're primarily used to deliver shit like Uber Eats. So it's it's our most slovenly uh people are riding them, and then they're using them to deliver junk food to people who are too lazy to leave the house to get an iced coffee. There are people who order like an iced coffee off of Uber Eats, like these fucking. You ever watch like back in the day, like True Life or Made on MTV, and it was like some fucking gamer kid who was going to try out for the JV football team, and he had to start going to his fucking workouts or whatever, and it was just the epitome of laziness and fucking softness. It's people like that who are, it's too hot out for me to walk to the fucking bodega on the corner and get a an iced coffee. I'm just going to Uber Eats one real quick. I'm going to pay a $5 fee to have a $5 coffee delivered. They're fueling this fucking boom in e-scooter use, and they're very popular among migrants, because all you need to get the job is just a fucking phone and a means to get around. So it's reasonably cheap, and then they're also being used. They're like organized gangs from South America coming up here to commit crime now. That's they know that they're going to get shipped when they get caught at the border. They're going to get shipped to fucking New York City. So they get up there, and that they have like these little like theft rings that are all operating on these fucking scooters. So the NYPD, I guess, is just going around fucking confiscating one. I saw a video of a cop the other day straight up fucking tackling a guy off of one. It was awesome. Yeah, it's on the cover of the New York Post the other day. Is literally this fucking jacked cop jumping on the back of this scooter and pulling this dude down off of his moped. I love it. Get him. Fucking get him. Yeah, the notorious Venezuelan Tren de Aragua gang has coordinators in New York City to recruit migrant crooks, providing them with instructions and a vehicle for often violent robberies. That came from a hospital bed interview with Bernardo Raul Castro Mata, a 19-year-old Venezuelan gangbanger facing attempted murder because he shot two cops on June 3rd. He used it in a drive. It's like back in the early 1900s, when the Italians and the Irish and the Jews were driving around New York City in car, like fucking with fucking Tommy guns, shooting out the windows of cars, whatever kind of fucking cars they had back then, those big fucking massive tires and the whatever Boardwalk Empire. A migrant shelter in Long Island City had 23 scooters parked on the street, being guarded by security guards who said cops have never shown up to check and impound the vehicles. Yeah, they make too much noise, said a mom who lives across the street from the facility. They're scaring the kids on the street. It scares me too, especially when I'm with the kids and suddenly boom, the loud motor noise. Yeah. They're loud as fuck. They're annoying. They're all over the place. They're being driven by unskilled drivers who are not really familiar with the area and its traffic patterns. It's just a massive recipe for disaster. I say this every time this comes up, but I'm just blown away that more old ladies are not being killed by these things. Eventually, it is going to hit a critical mass where a bunch of grandmas are going to be getting run over by these fucking things, because there are so many of them all over. And I don't know if this is a thing everywhere else. Like, I think this is I mean, I know they exist elsewhere, but I don't know if it's as ubiquitous to have these on the street. I'd be very curious to hear what you folks out in the comment section, if there are fucking people doing this in your area. Calster, you write I'm reading Monday Morning Mowing with Mike's comment above this, and very, very funny, sir. You ride a Vespa. Yeah, I don't have a big problem with the Vespa. I know there's an Italian guy we know down the shore who fucking cruises around Asbury on a Vespa, and I think that that's fine. He's a fucking a well-heeled individual. He's not driving around like a fucking asshole. He's a local business owner. Like he's a responsible person. I think the difference is that a lot of the people riding around on like these e-bikes delivering fucking tacos to some dickhead who's been playing Call of Duty all afternoon. So sometimes those guys are complete fucking idiots, and they drive very recklessly, and they're just a pain in the ass. Anyway. Yeah, that's the thing. They lane split like crazy. Um it's annoying as fuck. I'm gonna be totally honest. Especially around here. In this area, like Union City, Jersey City, the fucking traffic, it's so fucking bad that having these dickheads, it makes it worse. Because everyone has to drive a little more carefully now because they drive. You have to understand, this is a very stupid area. We have some of the highest car insurance, um, highest car insurance rates in the country up here. Like it's just a fucking, it's a disaster. The roads are a disaster. They're potholes. Everyone is dumb. There are a lot of very dumb people here who are very reckless, and it's not making things better. Like it's a very the idea like it should be almost more of a pedestrian area and not these guys zipping around on this fucking shit. Like they need to put in more like light rail and stuff like that. Um, in any case, I'm glad to see the fucking cops tackling these motherfuckers in the street. Um, because the combination of we also have our neighborhoods. This neighborhood is also overflowing with fucking migrants too, who stand outside of an auto zone getting hammered all day. So it's a fucking shit's starting to fucking boil around here. Um. Anyway. Anyway. Up next, there's this story from out in the Hamptons. And I was just talking about douchebags of one variety. Um, but there's a douchebag of another variety that I'd like to check in on. High-end Hamptons hotspot fires back with bribery claims after influencers whine they had the worst $2,000 dinner. So there are these two influencers, Meg Radici and Audrey Jongins, who run a review page called the VIP List, and they slammed Mavericks in Montauk. But the restaurant is saying that it was bullshit. They didn't that it's because they're trying to effectively punish them because they asked for free food, and this is something that influencers will do. They'll ask for free stuff. This happens quite often, actually. They'll ask for free stuff. They'll get turned down, and then they'll leave a shitty review of the place because they're mad that they had to pay. They think they should be getting shit for free, which is apparently what happened. Um, they're claiming that they waited 3 hours for appetizers before being served a series of flavorless dishes. And she said that a friend's dress was ruined when a seafood tower collapsed, and that her party was hit with a $2,000 bill at the end of the dining experience. I want to see they actually have the video embedded. I'll give it a play. Oh boy! All right, hold on. Let me share it. Let me go ahead and share that with you guys so you can experience this as well. Just a moment. You're going to want to. This might be one of the most irritating voices I have ever heard in my life. I think I have to have headphones on for it to work properly without feedback. Here we go.
This might be the worst dining experience we've ever had. I know hospitality in the Hamptons isn't the best, but this was criminal. And it's such a shame because it was a beautiful venue. I was off duty. I was not planning on taking content. But when we had to wait 2.5 hours to order an appetizer, all bets were off. After 3 hours, the apps arrived. The first red flag was an A5 Wagyu tartare disguised in beet sauce. Can you imagine a plate of A5 untouched and questionably vegan? The seafood tower collapsed on its own and ruined our friend's dress. Thank God it didn't fall on me because I would have done a Teresa Giudice table flip. The level of cap in the menu descriptions is unprecedented. This is considered chicken with caviar.
Okay, I couldn't make it through the entire thing. That woman has one of the most irritating voices I've ever heard. I'll stop shit. I'm not watching any more of this woman's video. First of all, the food looked very good. For the most part, I would say it looked fantastic. It's a Montauk restaurant, so if you're gonna say that Montauk is a very busy place, very high-end clientele. So if you're going to say you waited forever, that means that they're doing booming fucking business. And if they sucked, that wouldn't be the case. And you wouldn't have been trying to get yourself a free meal there. That chick sounded like an absolute fucking harpy. I do not know. I do not know how she has built any kind of audience. It just blows my fucking mind that the internet is so full of people like that who have managed to build impressive audiences, which she has a legitimate audience. It's apparently, what did the video got? How many fucking views did I say? Yeah, 730,000 views. And there's a picture of them here at some sort of event, some sort of red carpet event or some shit. And they look like an absolute just a fucking nightmare to deal with, these broads. The restaurant said, saying quite rightfully, that the video has very real and meaningful and lasting consequences for them as a small business. It's incredibly hurtful and untrue to say management didn't care. The restaurant said they declined to give the influencers any comped meals and said the women inflated the amount of money that they were eventually charged, which was $1,246 before tax for their table of 6. They spent $638 on food, $608 on alcohol. The driving cost behind their bill was all of the alcohol they consumed. Yes, these seem like I could totally see these broads being the kind who go out to a restaurant, get absolutely fucking shithoused. Judging by their appearance, they're probably used to having men buy them drinks and meals. they just seem like an absolute fucking nightmare. Radis and Jongins are sticking to their story, telling the Post, if we're wrong, the general public can go in and try for themselves. Hopefully they do better. Our dinner was awful. Mad that we said it. Go cry about it. Yeah, I don't know. They just seem, I mean, they seem like terrible, terrible people. That's the only way to describe them. And it's not like they're not particularly funny or entertaining. Like they're almost a caricature of what you would think an annoying person trying to be an influencer would be. They're not like it wasn't there wasn't any entertainment value there. Like there was nothing good. Like if you've ever I'm trying to think of the kind of there's a type of person if you go to a social gathering, a dinner party, or just a party or something, or if you're at a bar or any venue where there's a little bit of booze, they get very boozed up and very energetic, and the kind of women who put you better be able to deal with my sarcasm is like a big line for them in dating profiles. They probably also talk about in their dating profiles like how they hate drama. They're all about being drama free. They don't have time for drama, and yet always seem to find themselves involved with drama. Like nobody in their right mind would needlessly attack a small business like that. Like they just seem like a couple of vindictive assholes who thought that because they had something on the internet that a lot of people watch, that they were entitled to a free, very expensive meal at a restaurant in the Hamptons is what it seems like. Like that's the general impression that I get here. Yes, the you can't handle me girl. Yeah. With a usually with like a list of demands in the profile. And just know a lot of very, very sexy pictures usually. But a little bit not always 100% hot, though often a tad on the thick side and overly made up. Um, but they definitely squat and deadlift because they know that that brings out their ass and thighs, and those are very sexualized and easily presentable body parts. That kind of chick. Um, yeah, there is an element of fun to it, but the very annoying personalities and any that that forced wittiness. Probably when chicks like this, when they get together with like a gay friend for brunch, they are the most annoying motherfuckers in the restaurant. Very Casey Anthony. Casey Anthony would be at the brunch table. Adam Touche, yeah, very. There were a lot of chicks like this. I feel like they remind me of the brunch girls of the 2010s. Living around Hoboken and Jersey City, there was I know brunch is still big amongst Caucasians, but now people have I feel like the gym and like fitness and shit kind of won out on the masses and as the Sunday activity. But there was a window there where people were really obsessed with fucking brunch. You couldn't go if you were dating a white chick in the 2010s. You could not go the entirety of September and October or April and May without being dragged to at least two or three brunches. You were going to brunch. Someone was having brunch for their birthday. A lot of bottomless mimosas. A lot of early afternoon headaches caused by IPAs and champagne at 11 a.m. Yeah, it was a big now I think because you can get every NFL game at home. I feel like a lot of people got kind of annoyed by that scene because it attracted a lot of irritating people. Brunch brunch is a douchebag's meal. A lot of douchebags out there eating brunch. A gentleman goes out for dinner. A douchebag goes out for brunch. Anyway, speaking of douchebags, speaking of how do I clear? I gotta clear this thing out of there. Gotta clear the field, clear the comment thing. Which one is it? Hide current. There we go. I saw this article. Entitled people are claiming baby names before they're even expecting, and parents to be are pissed. So apparently there's a thing where people will declare what they're naming their baby without even being pregnant or married, or they'll be single. But this one, I don't. There is an importance that people have placed on parenting in this country that blows my mind. So here's the premise here. This guy says his pregnant wife posted a picture on Snapchat showing off the list of names they'd each made and poking fun at how different the list of names were. And I guess they started getting comments from his wife's friends that some of those names they had already reserved for themselves so that she couldn't use them. And these women are not even pregnant, and they're trying to tell their friends what they can and can't name their children. And this wouldn't have been a problem 30 years ago when I grew up with so many fucking Mikes. I think my travel baseball team in middle school had 5 different mics on it. 5. That was my travel baseball team. So this was the group of kids in my class who were good enough at the sport of baseball to make a team that was, I think, 13 people on it. I think there were like 13 or 14 guys on the team. And within that group, there were 5 mics. You know how you spread that out? You know how many more fucking mics there are just in that class? And if you go back, remember Goodfellas, where she's talking about how many Peters and Pauls there are at the wedding? Nobody fucking cared. The Sopranos, the Two Tonys. That was it. People would there were a few names. It was mostly like saints and apostles and stuff. If you were from a certain variety of ethnic groups, Italians, Irish, a lot of people just naming them after saints and apostles. There wasn't this shit where everything had to be unique and creative. It was, we're going to name you after grandpa or some shit. But now everybody has to come up with fucking, they're naming their kid after, Harry Potter characters and shit. And it's all got to be unique. And it's not, mind you, none of this is about the children. These are Caucasians who use their children as a prop for social media. So as the previous story was about douchebags who try to use their social media power to extort small businesses, this is about social media douchebags who try to exploit their children to impress people on social media so that they can walk into their high school reunion with an air of self-importance. They're still trying to outdo the chick who there was a chick in their English class who grew tits before they did, and she got the attention from the quarterback and went to the prom with him. And so now this chick who is still envious of that woman who beat her out in high school romance is now going to use her toddler, who they're going to blast pictures of all over social media with a unique name and wearing a fun Halloween costume or this or that and dressing them up and doing all sorts of shit just so that they can show off on Instagram and try to make people that they don't even see really in real life that often, kind of jealous. That's what this is all about. And they covet this so much that they will reach out to their friends and say, no, you can't name your child Devin. We were going to name our baby Devin. We haven't started. We just froze eggs. We haven't started trying yet. But when we do, Devin is it. So fine, have 2 fucking Devins. Because we're at this point now where I know they call it the miracle of childbirth, but it's been happening forever. It's actually, the more advanced medicine becomes, the less and less of a miracle childbirth is. Back in the caveman days, like, it is a miracle that we're here, that, your bloodline survived from, the ice ages and cavemen and fucking whatever was going on in Europe or whatever part of the world you're from historically, all of these atrocities and plagues and things, that is a miracle. The survival of your genetic material is a miracle. But the fact that some asshole in Hoboken or Red Hook or fucking wherever has a kid and wants to give them a unique name, it's not a miracle. It's not exciting. You didn't need to do a gender reveal. None of this had anything to do with the kid. If the shit was about the kid, you wouldn't be putting it all over social media. You would just be spending quality time with your child. So it's not about that. It's about this narcissism that a lot of Caucasian social media users have. And I think these 2 stories are just such incredible examples of it. And I see so much of it when I'm scrolling my feeds. And sometimes it's people I like. Sometimes it's not. More often than not, it's not really people I know. It's like, people it's people I've met, but it's like people I know, sort of distantly. Thank God I do not operate in a circle where this is the norm. Not San Miguel. Howdy. Good to have you in the chat tonight. Happy Friday evening to you. I am well. I am quite well. It's summertime. I have on my summer finest, my little Florida State hat, the shirt unbuttoned a bit at the top, the breeze from the floor fan on me. It's good. It was hot as fuck here all day. A storm just rolled through and settled things off, so it's going to be good sleeping tonight. Today was the latest I've ever gone without coffee. I had a cup of cold brew at like 2 p.m, but I woke up. I drank, usually in the morning, I do 2 glasses of water with lime juice and salt, and then some AG1, and then I get to my coffee. Before I could even get to the coffee, I took my morning constitutional, and then I looked at the time and realized I had to go work out before the class I was teaching at noon. So I was out the door before I had a chance for coffee, and I felt reasonably energized. So it's very, very, very good. Few minutes. I'll go quickly over these. Maybe I'll get one more in. maybe two. These are just these have been sitting on my list for a little while. This Idaho bar is having they're having straight pride month. Um welcome to, they're calling it heterosexual awareness month, which, you know, I think there are two ways to look at this. They're having hetero male Monday, with a free draft beer given to any heterosexual male dressed like a heterosexual male, which I kind of appreciate that, to be honest, and not in a like, the gays are taking over kind of way, and we need this. But there was, and I think it's kind of fading. But we did go through a period, because I was rereading you remember that Rolling Stone article, A Rape on Campus, where that chick just made up a story about being gang raped by a bunch of frat brothers. I was reading that and I was like, oh yeah, there was a time in the not too distant past where it was just open season on like straight white dudes, but just straight dudes in general. I feel like were legitimately just under attack by a sort of like feminized mainstream media. And I think now we've gone, I think and obviously you look back and it's like, there should be equal rights for gay people. I think we're living at a time when it would be, anyone would be stupid to say there shouldn't be. It's, fucking, if you don't have it's almost weird now if you don't have a million fucking gay friends or whatever. Like I know multiple at this point trans people, which is something you really didn't expect back then. It's not a huge chunk of people, but like a guy I served with after we got out transitioned. One of my radio buddies at last summer, I went to his gay wedding. They had an incredible raw bar. So I think it's so much more common and everything is out there now that everyone's just kind of like, no one gives a shit. I feel like we're at a point where no one truly cares what anyone does. And it feels like more of what the LGBTQIAA plus movement, so much of it has become like almost a caricature of what it was supposed to be. And it's just a lot of, college and high school age kids and people in their early 20s just using it, leveraging it to engage in attention seeking behavior. Very similar to what I think a lot of the anti-Israel protesters are up to. I truly don't think, I think a lot of people who are using words like queer and stuff to describe themselves, I think are doing it because they know they can do it very ambiguously without actually having to, put up those cheeks for a good rogering to really be in the club. Like, I think I think a lot of what people do now with their identities, whether it's as a Hamas protester, or you're identifying as pan or whatever. I think a lot of it is because people want to be seen and heard, and the easiest way to do that right now is, because we live in such a time of grievance, is to align yourself or identify with a group that could claim to be aggrieved for some reason. So I do think it's kind of, it is funny and kind of good to see that there's a small business out there who's like, you know what, we're going to do this. We're not going to worry about the repercussions. We're going to have some fun. Like they're clearly just joshing. They're not being, I don't think they're being hateful with this. I think they're just saying like pride has gotten a little bit ridiculous. Like it was, I would go to the events to interview people, and it was almost like you couldn't do an interview because people would be walking by and they would start shouting stuff into the microphone about whatever cause they were trying to support, whatever. And like all of us, out of nowhere, there would just be these little like marches with people kind of goose stepping around and making noise. to the point where you legitimately couldn't do an interview because you couldn't get the audio. And it's just like, all right, we're living in probably the time of the most equality. It's like everybody's good. Like, let's chill out. Can we just chill the fuck out? So, again, I understand why people were taking videos of Bud Light and pumping fucking ammunition into it. If you tell people that they're fucking assholes just because of who they are for long enough, eventually you will get a response from them. Peeking at the comments section. I think women identify as pan-queer join the ranks of the marginalized community. Yeah, I mean, I think there is a good amount of out in kind of suburban, there's something happens to, there's a certain breed of person who moves out to the suburbs too early. I think they never experience like urban, like they don't get, there's a lot of energy that never gets out of their system, or they don't travel the world. They don't do anything exciting. They just kind of live out in the burbs. They get married and they don't go trad wife. So they go the other direction where they spent the entire lockdown watching CNN and MSNBC, and they were told to, hate Trump and all that shit. So they start developing these sort of like these borderline like extremist fucking liberal housewives. I used to see a lot of them when I would troll the Glen Rock, New Jersey Facebook page back in the day with my Gary Moiler account, which has since been banned. You'd run into a lot of them. Yeah, a lot of that out there. And then I want to wrap it up on this Titanic survivor's family rips offensive Ohio billionaire Larry Connor for planning to take sub to site after Ocean Gate tragedy. So when I saw that headline, silly me, I thought that it was the survivor of one of the Ocean Gate disaster, one of their family members. And I thought, I understand that I could see it being, very quickly after that and going back down there. It does feel maybe a tad disrespectful to the people who died on the Ocean Gate thing. If you're a family member, I could see that. So I went to look at the article, and it turns out that no, it is a family member of two Titanic survivors. Of the survivors of the actual Titanic. Real estate investor Larry Connor said that he and Triton Submarines co-founder Pat Leahy will go down 12,400 feet in a two-person submersible to view the shipwreck site. But Shelley Binder, the descendant of Titanic survivors Leah and Philip Axe, is not happy about it. She believes the resting place of the Titanic should be left undisturbed. For generations, people who have the money are going to spend it doing things to prove their machismo and appease their sense of adventure. But does that mean they should? She asked. She slammed them for wanting to develop a tourism industry around one of the world's greatest tragedies. Fortunately, I think one could say these people have more dollars than sense. And the idea of tourism to a wreck where 1,500 people lost their lives in a horrific disaster is offensive. I mean, it was over 100 years ago. I think at some point if you have the technology, you can go see it. What happened aboard that ship was extremely traumatic and harrowing for my great-grandmother and great-uncle. This was a devastating landmark moment in their lives. It had long-lasting repercussions for my entire family. I mean, I understand that, but again, it was over 100 years ago. Like, there are people people go on tours of Civil War battlefields and plantations. The Pearl Harbor. There's tourism. There is, if you go to, foreign battlefields all over the place, castles where people were executed. I'm sure there was the French Revolution was terrible. I'm sure you could visit places where people were guillotined. You can tour concentration camps. So the Titanic is not off limits. She's not alone in thinking so. She's spoken to numerous others who lost relatives when the Titanic sunk in 1912, who think the tourism is wrong. They see the wreck as a gravesite, and they're truly offended by it. This idea of commercial tourism, they believe it's an abomination. She says the majority of the people aboard that ship were in third class and had to fight for their lives to get to safety. She thinks her great grandmother would have been offended by it. I don't, all right. You survived the Titanic. Okay, you made it. Celebrate. How long are we supposed to? My parents just went and visited Pompeii, entombed in ash. There are literally, it was all whorehouses, by the way. I guess everyone there was jerking off like fucking crazy and fucking like crazy. These are Italian, so you understand. They were a very perverted people. I think I jerked off like 3 times today. But that's, we visit sites where great death has taken place. This is something that humans have done. And frankly, your great-grandparents were a little bit cocky, weren't they? Getting aboard an unsinkable ship. Getting onto a ship that you believe is unsinkable and kind of, high-stepping around the Atlantic, going through a fucking iceberg field. You get what you get. You could have gone on any other boat. You had to go on the maiden voyage of an unsinkable ship. Had to test Mother Nature. Went down into the icy cold waters of the North Atlantic. But you survived. You made it. So celebrate. You're here. You are here. All right. Anyway, I'll say goodbye to the comments section. Yes, every time you ride the subway, you pass where someone has died. First of all, New York City, there were like potter's fields and shit all over the place. You're walking on top of all sorts of bodies in New York City. And yes, every time you ride people get thrown in front of the subway on a regular in New York City. So every time you ride the 7 train, you are cruising through the site of death and dismay. Very good point. Let's see. Johnny Gibbons, thank you very much. Good night to you. Anyway, Nighttime Conqueror, peace out, indeed. All right, I am going to wrap things up here as well. I have a steak and fries to get to. I'm very excited about that. The Mets were in a rain delay before. Not sure if that is still the case. I will take a look-see and see. You guys have a great weekend. Have a great next week. Please share this with people. Again, screenshots, share at Mike's Golden Streams, all of that shit. Let people know. Let them know to stop by. I had a few new followers this week, so appreciate you all who are doing it. And I will attempt to do a pre-record, in between moving everything, and we'll be back sooner than later. I hope so. Adios, motherfuckers.